Today, I'm going to share 10 pro tips for anyone beginning their journey into art. A lot of folks have asked me in the comments for more digital art tutorials, and I'm pleased to tell you that I'm currently working on a series approaching digital art for beginners that will run through my basic process of digital art with tons of tips and tricks to help you get started on the right foot with digital artwork. While we wait for that series to be ready though, I wanted to go through 10 tips that should be useful to all beginner artists. I've been a digital artist for over 16 years, and in that time I've made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot of lessons about how to improve quickly in my art. Today, I'm going to give you the benefit of my wisdom to hopefully help you out as well. Of course, these tips come from my personal perspective, which is mostly related to digital art, but the tips can apply to any type of art, and lots of them can apply to other hobbies and interests as well. So I suggest you watch this video with an open mind and a willingness to learn, and be ready to apply some of these tips to your own creative journey, whatever that might be. Let's get started. Number 1. Before anything else, think about what kind of art you want to be making. And when I say this, I don't mean that you need to decide right here and now what kind of style you want or what kind of art you want to make for the rest of your life. Art styles and goals can change constantly, and that's fine. But it can be really good to define what types of art inspire you and motivate you to make art yourself. A great way to start doing this is by making a digital vision board of sorts on a website like Pinterest. Collect artwork that brings you joy, artwork similar to what you'd like to see yourself creating one day. Check back and update it often when the mood strikes you. I've used this method myself for quite a few years now and have multiple vision boards for different themes and ideas that I regularly update. These boards help me stay motivated and inspired and remind me of the types of paths that I'd like to take with my own art journey. Like I said, this isn't about defining your style right out of the gate or defining a hard line about what you should and shouldn't draw, but it can help you define what kind of style or styles you might like to develop, and from there you can better hone in on specific techniques that you want to learn. Number 2 is that you don't need fancy supplies to make art. You know that incredible art YouTuber that you love so much? They just got an iPad Pro with Procreate. Wow, you better go get one too. And, oh wait, it's over $1,000? But how are you gonna make good art without one? Here's the thing, you don't need it. You don't need any fancy supplies to make art. All you need to make art is a surface to draw on and a writing or drawing instrument. If all you've got is a ballpoint pen and some printer paper, amazing. You can make art. Good art isn't the result of having good tools. Artists can make great art with all sorts of weird tools and supplies. You know how I was just talking about your favorite art YouTuber? I bet they've made at least a few videos where they make art with weird and non-standard art supplies. And do you ever notice how, in most cases, the art still usually turns out pretty good? That's kind of what I mean. Making art is much more important than what supplies you wind up using. Having fancy art supplies is great once you've learned some skills and are willing to invest in some prettier equipment, don't get me wrong, but it's absolutely not required to make good art. In my many years of being an artist on the internet, I've seen artists far more skilled than I am create pieces that I can only gawk at. And a lot of them are using the simplest of tools. Some of them even just use mechanical pencils and simple sketchbooks. So use what you have available to you and try not to be upset about not being able to use what you don't have. You can always get fancy things down the road. It doesn't stop you from making art now. Number 3, art takes practice. There's all sorts of books, videos, tutorials, and other things out there all about improving your art quickly. And while a lot of them do have good tips that can help you out with that, the one true tip for improving your artwork fast is to practice, and to practice a lot. Ready for an unpopular opinion? Because I'm about to give you one. Art is not necessarily a talent. People often tell me I'm talented at art, and while I appreciate the compliment and it does make me feel good, it also kind of makes my eye twitch, because I've been practicing my skill in art for over half my life, only to be treated as if I've been born with this innate ability to just know how to make a thing appear on a piece of paper. You're not born talented at art. Art is a passion and art is a skill. It's kind of a hand-in-hand kind of thing. If you have the passion to make art, you will draw often, and thus you'll improve quickly and acquire this magical talent that people speak of. There's a lot of ways to practice. You can draw lots of the things you want to be good at drawing. Want to draw giraffes well? Draw 50 of them. Then draw 50 more. Want to draw humans well? Draw every day from life or from pose references online. Draw at least one thing every single day. Fill a sketchbook page every single day. Fill a sketchbook every month. Wear down pencils. Make lists of art prompts and work through those lists systematically if that works for you. There's so many different ways to approach establishing a drawing practice, and the more you draw, the faster you'll improve at drawing. It's just that simple. Number 4. Be open to constructive criticism from your peers. This one's a bit related to number 3 because when you draw a lot, you also have to learn what you're doing right and what you might be doing wrong. Sometimes you can look at your own art and point out your mistakes and how you can improve, but seeking feedback from peers will help you exponentially more and is an incredibly important step of the learning process. If you don't have friends who are into art, it can be valuable to join an art community on Discord or other venues. Many art YouTubers have Discord channels and are curating communities of like-minded artists who are all looking to learn and to help each other. Good constructive criticism typically consists of 2 parts: what the viewer sees as positive about your work and what the viewer thinks could be improved. And really good critique will include some suggestions on what you can do next. When you ask for criticism on your work, be receptive and know that people are going to point out things that you can improve on. It isn't intended to be negative or a personal attack or a commentary that your art sucks. It's just suggestions on how to get better, which is going to help you improve, so absorb that. If you think a comment is too harsh or not very constructive, take it with a grain of salt and move on. There's definitely times where people giving feedback come off as rude or mean, or simply just not valuable. Not everybody's good at giving constructive criticism, and that doesn't affect your value as an artist. Just walk away from those types of comments and take in the ones that are truly constructive and have a way of improving your artwork. Additionally, if you're in a community asking for feedback, try to give some good feedback in return if someone else asks for feedback on their work. Art communities thrive when all participants give and take. Number 5. The internet is your friend. When I was just a youngin' at the age of 15 with my very first digital tablet back in 2001, yeah, I know, I'm old, the internet was still a relatively young place. Most of the resources available to artists these days were not available when I was just starting out. And I know I sound like an old crone saying this, but you kids have no idea how good you've got it these days. If you want to learn more about any art technique under the sun, Google and YouTube are about a click away. You can type in anything you want and get dozens, if not hundreds of results that will help you learn what you need. You need to use this wealth of resources to your advantage. I get a lot of people asking me questions in YouTube comments, and while I do want to answer everyone's questions, so many of them could be answered in seconds by plugging it into Google or YouTube. So if you're learning something new and feel overwhelmed and don't know where to turn, have a Google or YouTube search handy in a browser tab at all times and search for solutions when you feel lost. You'll improve so much more quickly by using the resources that exist out there for you. There's a wealth of free art resources online to help you practice and to learn as well. There's online communities, like I mentioned before. There are pose reference websites, instructional websites, way more. Art inspiration can hide in interesting places on the internet too. Try picking a random marker on Google Street View and use it as a reference to draw a landscape. Draw one of your favorite internet personalities or celebrities. Get creative. You have an endless supply of artistic resources at your fingertips with the internet. So get out there and start searching. And search safely, my friends. Number 6, dig in and learn the fundamentals of art. No matter what art style or techniques you find yourself drawn to, having a solid basis in art fundamentals is critical to good success as an artist. And this is a tip that I learned very, very late in my art career. Like, I'm talking within the last few years. I never studied art academically, and a lot of my art instruction has been self-taught. Somehow along the way, I did skip a lot of the fundamentals, and I've since taken some online tutorials and lessons on art fundamentals, and my skills have improved dramatically. So what do I mean by art fundamentals? That one's a bit tricky. The list can vary depending on who you talk to. In my experience, the 5 primary fundamentals I learned are form, perspective, anatomy, composition, and lighting values. Art fundamentals are a whole other beast of a topic that I am not educated enough to teach at this time. But there's a ton of great free resources that you can find by searching on, you guessed it, the internet. Don't do what I did. Don't skip out on the fundamentals early on. Some of it is theory and some of it is just a little bit of a slog, but be patient. Having a solid knowledge of art theory will set the groundwork for your art journey early on and form a fantastic basis for quick improvement. Number 7, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. It's really easy to draw the things we've already gotten used to drawing. I can draw a dog or a horse without even thinking about it. But if you ask me to draw a motorcycle, nope. It's really important to try drawing things that you don't feel skilled enough to draw. This isn't to say you should draw things you don't want to draw. Instead, maybe think about an illustration or a style that you really like but have been afraid to try. And draw it. Draw it a bunch of times. Your attempts may not turn out that well, but that's not the point. Getting outside of your comfort zone will kickstart the creative part of your mind. It's healthy for your brain and your creative skills to draw things you don't think you can draw. And it may prompt a new learning avenue for you or a new idea that you want to pursue. So don't be afraid to draw the things you don't think you can draw. Number 8, to quote Miss Frizzle, take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. A lot of artists, and I'm super guilty of this one, find themselves too focused on creating that final product. You know the theory, every piece of work you create should be finished, and if it won't be finished, why bother? But that's stinking thinking. Sketching, doodling, scribbling, making messes, that's one of the best ways to just relax, enjoy art, and the process of making the art. Not everything has to be pretty or presentable. It doesn't even have to look nice. It's just for you. Don't be afraid to try new things, like I said in number 7, and don't be afraid to just start sketching with no plans in mind. In that way, you'll be practicing your art, number 3, and you might be surprised with what comes out onto the paper. You might turn out with something really awesome that you may not have come up with otherwise. Now, everyone can help remind me of this one because, like I said, I admit this tip is one that I struggle with a lot as well, but when I do let loose and just fill a paper with messy sketches, it gives me a wonderful cathartic feeling, which reminds me of why I started to make art in the first place. Number 9. Don't stress about your social media presence or about selling your art too early. The social media atmosphere these days is just wild. It's a constant bombardment of content, both good and bad. It can be a positive place and it can be a toxic place, all the same. Many artists these days are borderline obsessed with views, comments, and followers, and again, as an old crone here, I'm here to tell you, don't. It's cool to have a social media presence, having an account on your favorite platforms to share your artwork, and it's nice to get involved in art communities through social media and to receive positive comments about your work. But keep in mind that your followers might not grow the way that you hope they will, or some people might say mean things, or you may not get people saying anything at all. And all of that is okay. It's okay. When you're learning art, seeking popularity is not a thing you need to be focusing on. It can be really unhealthy for your mental health. And that's not why you're here to learn art, right? Art should be good for the soul. And I know it's hard to not get caught up on social media and everything that comes with it. I am guilty of that as well, but try to keep a balance in how you approach social media with your artwork. And on sort of a related topic to this, don't rush out of the gate to start taking art commissions. I know commissions can be very enticing because you can use your newfound art skills to make some money, and that's really cool. But keep in mind that taking commissions comes with its own major set of pros and cons. I will be covering this in a later video, as I have a lot of experience with both sides of that coin, and I'm not saying not to take commissions, but just be careful about when you choose to decide to take on that responsibility. In general, just try not to stress about your online presence or selling your art out of the gate. Just make art for a while and see what comes of it. And last but certainly not least, number 10, draw what makes you happy. You should always strive to draw things that bring you joy. There can be pressure and discouragement from watching artists who you feel are way better than you. You might feel like you'll never be good enough, or that you have a long way to go, or that it's just not worth it. And don't think that way. Everybody starts somewhere. So just draw. Draw the things that make you happy. Draw things every day that make you happy. Draw cool things. Draw stupid things. Draw things that don't look good. Draw things that look great. Try new things, try new techniques, make comics, or design your own characters. Learn some of the fundamentals along the way, but always draw what makes you happy. When you draw things that make you happy, your most authentic self is going to come out through your artwork, and there's no better thing on this earth than when we can express our creativity through our hobbies. If art isn't making you happy, stop doing it, or at least take a little break. Do something else that makes you happy. This world's a crazy place, especially when I'm recording this video in 2020, and we all need a little more of what makes us happy. So draw what makes you happy. And that's my 10 tips for new or beginning artists. I hope that these help you out and that they help give you some new perspective on your art journey, no matter what step of that journey you might be on. I also hope you enjoyed me drawing this little werewolf character. It was nice to draw a simple little illustration after such a busy Christmas season, and I had a lot of fun. I think she turned out really cute. I have more videos on the way to help out beginner digital artists, like I said, so please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content like this. And as always, I also welcome suggestions for future video topics. Also, if you like my videos, I'd like to welcome you to support my work on Patreon. Your support helps me be able to focus more on video and content production, as well as other really cool projects. Patrons get access to exclusive development and business chat, behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, first picks on post and video topic polls, monthly podcasts by yours truly, digital freebies, and more. Check it out in my channel header or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!